Hey there, Shortcuts. This is Stephen here with video 2 for the Shortcuts Vinyl Club. This week, a list will go out on April 1st, 9 p.m. Sydney time as usual. And this is the genre list, which is, I think, one of the funnest genre lists I've had in a really long time. All sorts of deep cuts and interesting cuts and variations in here that I like a lot. And so I'm looking forward to it. If you like the look of one of these records and are interested in buying it, the price list will go out 9 p.m. As I said, you can be on the price list by filling in the form that's in the description below, or wait till the end and I'll give you my email address. All right, let's get into it. We've got jazz, funk, salsa. We've got hip hop, all sorts in here. And I had to stay here. I had to start here. We've got some blues as well, some great blues. Had to begin here. I've been looking for this record in an early press for 2 years, I would say. And as luck would have it, two came along at once, and they're both awesome copies. So one of them is on sale here. Now, I will try and recoup my costs that I paid, tax and postage from the US, etc. So this record will be cheap, but I'm just saying that because it's great and it's still in the shrink, and it is an early US press of El Malo by Willie Colon. Now, I should have had my Willie Colon t-shirt on today. I have a t-shirt of one of his later albums called Crime Pays that I love very much. But I would, I will make a sleeve. I will make a t-shirt of this at some point as well. This is Willie Colon is here, and this is Hector Lavoe. And Hector Lavoe is the voice that you hear on this record, and Willie Colon is the band leader. And his main instrument is the trombone. Listen to the name of this band, the names on this band. Willie Colon, Joey Santiago, Nick Marrero, Pablo Rosario, Eddie Guagua. It's Hector Lavoe on vocals, Yaya El Indio, recording producer Johnny Pancheco, produced by Jerry Mizuchi. This gives you a sense of this record. El Malo has arrived. Bowie is dreaming, so I can hear him squealing away in his sleep. El Malo has arrived. Willie Colon, a young man with lots of soul and plenty of intent. The boogaloo and shingling trend has brought many new orchestras to the scene. In my opinion, Willie's group outshines them all. Jazzy, Willie Baby, Willie Whopper, I love that song. El Malo, Skinny Papa, Quimbomba. This also has the original Fania. You can see it there, the Fania sleeve that it came with, and you could do worse than collecting everything that you can see on that sleeve. These records are famous and infamous at the same time for one thing: they are cut so hot. They absolutely melt your speakers. There is, there's a passing whim of a bottom end, because all this record is dance music, and it is all about the horns and the voices. And this was his debut album, 1967. Willie Colon and both Hector Lavoe had massive hit records on Fania in the 70s, but this is where they began to move bodies by the millions. There is no polish. It is all raw energy. It is closer to James Brown than to anything else. These salsa records got played to death, and that's why it's so incredibly hard to find one from back in the day that has survived. And so there are lots. I bought a few on Discogs, and they would arrive and I'd look at them and I go, this is hopeless. And the usual VG plus. Anyway, I managed to find two. Give this a listen, and yeah, good luck on Wednesday. I think this will go in a heartbeat. There might be some competition for this record. This is another one that I love to death. This is the Japanese hard cardboard gatefold of Canned Heat with John Lee Hooker. And it is called Hooker and Heat. And it is on two mighty slabs of vinyl on the Liberty label. It absolutely weighs, this whole thing weighs an absolute ton. Complete with the inner Hooker and Heat, of course. 1971, California's Canned Heat and John Lee Hooker just basically decamped and created this big groove, completely monolithic record. And I think it is kind of a defining record in the canon of both Canned Heat and John Lee Hooker. It is, I describe it as late night trance blues. The grooves just go on. They're like slabs of noise that just go and go and go, and you can hear how much fun John Lee is having in the whole thing. It's I don't know. I think I love this picture here in particular. It's just so great. John Lee having an absolute ball, messing with the hook all the way through to Boogie Chillin' number 2, which I assume is take 2 of the groove. It pretty much is the whole of side 4, and I just recommend that you put it on and turn it up, my friend. It is 4 sides of atmospheric, bluesy joy, which is a good segue to this next album. This is a discovery of mine really over the last year, and every time I see it now, I grab a copy. So I saw this one recently and I grabbed it just because I think this album is an absolute delight. It is Soul Junction by the Red Garland Quintet, which features, unbelievably, John Coltrane and Donald Byrd. It's just mad. Red Garland, John Coltrane, Donald Byrd, Arthur Taylor, and George Joyner on bass. All I can say is that this album brings me happiness, and that's why I grab it. Often when I see these records, by the way, that I love, and I recognize them as what I call shortcuts royalty, but knowing that they're hard to find, I grab them and I'll just pass them on at what they cost me, just because they're that good. So this is the Japanese press. 1960, just a hard bop masterpiece, really. Endlessly replayable and really kind of clubby. I love it to bits. All right. Another album I love, and this is a really interesting variation that I did not know existed, and I think some of you out there might love this very much. This is still in the Shrink. I think this is the German press of this, but I need to confirm. It is the 2 LP version of the Mighty Jungle Brothers Straight Out the Jungle. And I think this will be interesting for those of you who love this record because the original was cut on one record, it's actually cut quite quiet. And I got this 2 LP a while ago, and here they are in lovely condition. Again, pretty healthy slabs of vinyl. This 2 LP version allows a deeper, louder cut of the music that I think sounds better than the original presses. So there you go. The Jungle Brothers Straight Out of the Jungle. For those of you who love that Native Tongues movement, that playful Afrocentric kind of, I suppose, idea forward hip hop collective, then I think this is a great example. All right. I've got this record a few times over the last year or so, but this is the first time I've seen it with an Obi, and the Obi is really beautiful. It is the Kenny Burrell and John Coltrane collaboration. It also featured Tommy Flanagan, Paul Chambers, and the brilliant Jimmy Cobb on drums. It's just, I think it's an underappreciated record, but not by us, because quite a few of us have bought this over the last year, and I've heard really good things, and I think of it as kind of a reined in John Coltrane. So you're not the outer space Coltrane or kind of off the reservation Coltrane. This is more intimate. It swings. It's beautifully paced. It's quite plush. Coltrane's tone is stellar, urgent, but not, as I said, not going to you're not going to have you furrowing your brow too much, which is sometimes what happens when I listen to John Coltrane. I feel like I have to prepare myself, but not for this record. It's a delight. And I would also say the same about this. Now, in the early days of Shortcuts, the guys in Shinjuku used to send me this all the time, and I don't know why they've stopped, because it's so good. It is Nights of Ballads and Blues by McCoy Tyner. One of the most influential of the modern kind of jazz pianists. And this is a really melodic and beautiful record on the Impulse label. And what I really like about this repress is you get a really nice description of why this album is so lovely. And I think it's a really nice kind of, companion piece to the Burrell and Coltrane. It doesn't have the guitar, but it does have a really lovely late night groove feel. And so highly, highly recommended. Now, I'm going to flick through some of these a bit quickly, but I in the box this week are a series of records that I've never had before, never even seen them before, including some really nice copies of records by the likes of Nat King Cole. I cannot remember the last time the folks put a Nat King Cole record in, or one that looks as beautiful on the original Capitol label as this one. One of the great vocal stylists of all time. I'm trying to see what's on here. Stardust, Love Letters, Answer Me My Love, Autumn Leaves, really? When I Fall in Love. I think this might be some kind of Japan-only compilation, but it's a beautiful thing. If you like Nat King Cole, you will enjoy that very much. And there's a couple of others. There's a Ray Charles coming up and a couple of Earl Klug and a few things to finish off. This is just one of my favorite Japanese presses. I've always liked this album. War, The World is a Ghetto. What a great picture there on the back. A genuinely multicultural funk soul collective, really social, completely sounds like a party album, but kind of heavy stuff going on, whilst there's this kind of surface playfulness to the record. There's a lot of preaching on here a lot of messaging, but not so much heavy preaching, but it's quite slow cooked and really groovy. I love the percussion. It was a sampling goldmine. I think it still is. As is this record. Again, true Shortcuts royalty. Every time I see it, I smile, because I know how many of you love it. The hard cardboard gatefold that is the Sade record, Promise. Getting harder and harder to find. getting more and more expensive. I know the folks from Shinjuku have charged me a pretty penny for this one, but it is a beautiful copy, and you know, getting rarer and really hard to find now. So if you don't have something like that, I would snap it up. I was quite kind of surprised to see, because I hadn't seen Earl Klug in the box pretty much ever. And then there was a record, an Earl Klug record that came in the box maybe a month ago. And there were 4 or 5 of you who said, yeah, I'll have that. And so I pinged them and I said, can you put 2 more good ones? I don't know his discography at all. And these are the 2 that they selected, and they're both got beautiful obies. This is called Finger Painting by Earl Klug. Look at this. Look at that obi. Isn't it amazing? Now, for those of you, I don't know what this is. The Ad Lib label, 1977. Anyway, this came with some notes from some of the, with one of the folks who chose the box this time around, just saying how much they love this album. And so I suppose this must be maybe one of his crossover albums. Again, if any of you know Earl Klug, you can tell me more, because it's really new to me. The notes also said that there's some acoustic playing on this, which is really apparently beautiful. And there's also this. So I think Fingerprinted, now in my research, was 77. This is the album just before. And I believe this is his debut album. And again, look at this. It's just lovely. There you go. Look at that. It's just a fantastic looking record. Super Fusion 1900 written up there, so it must have been a reissue series, I would assume. I'll do my research and I'll find out more, put it in the notes for Wednesday. But again, really lovely copy. All right, I've had several copies of this over the years, and the reviews have been wonderful. So I saw this and I thought, yeah, why not? I'll grab another copy. This is the Mordecai Huangbuin Vinyl Me Please version. So you can see the Vinyl Me Please exclusive. So this was number 428 of 1,000. And this is on this kind of pink variation. So if any of you like this kind of ambient psychedelia of Huangbin, and that Vinyl Me Please copy is well worth the effort. In fact, I think I had this on a while ago, and the person who bought it didn't come and get it, so it's back in. So there you go. All right, I mentioned Nat King Cole earlier. There's also this lovely Ray Charles record on the original black ABC. So I think this is pretty early. This is the early 60s. This is Ballad in Blue by Ray Charles. And I know it's early because it's Japanese, no English whatsoever other than the title. So I can't tell you the name of the tracks or anything about it other than maybe on the... here we go. On the lyrics here, I can't stop loving you. Hit the road, Jack. Unchain my heart. I reckon this is one of Ray's breakout early records, particularly since it's marked as 1961, which is one of the earlier Japanese records I've had. Okay, 2 more to go, and let me just see what my notes are on these 2, because they're a little bit unusual in that they're modern represses, but not albums that I know so much. So this is still sealed Tone Poet goodness. So if those of you who know your Tone Poets, you know that these are mastered by Kevin Gray, pressed RTI. They're as good as Blue. They're kind of like, I suppose, the audiophile view of releases from Tone Poet. And you can still see, you can see it here. It says cut directly from the original analog tapes, recorded by Rudy Van Gelder, supervised by Joe Harley, mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. So Natural Essence Tyrone Washington is not so familiar to me, but I read a couple of reviews, and I think it's one of these records that you would probably earmark as, if you know, you know. It's a more I suppose obscure version of that kind of 1973 vibe, but really kind of groovy and quite forward. And so for any of you who like that kind of jazz, then Natural Essence is good. And they don't really select tone poets for no reason. And then finally, I had one of these records as a prize a few weeks ago. I had one left, and so I'm going to put it up for you guys. It's the Acoustic Sounds sealed series of the unpredictable Jimmy Smith. And this is still sealed, arranged by Oliver Nelson, and features a really quite killer version of Walking on the Wild Side. So again, these Acoustic Sound series, mastered from the original analog tapes, manufactured at QRP, tip-on gatefold sleeves, printed on high-grade board. The Acoustic Sounds series from Verve is the equivalent to the Tone Poet from Blue Note, and so really the best of the best. There you have the genre list. As I said, a really interesting and disparate list, kind of running the gamut from Willie Colon, my favorite on tonight's list, Canned Heat, Red Garland, Jungle Brothers, Nat King Cole, a couple of Coltrane appearances, Khruangbin, Ray Charles, Jimmy Smith, and the interesting Tyrone Washington, a Blue Note tone poet that I knew nothing about. So there you go. Again, please like, subscribe, leave message if you feel the need. I love getting messages, don't get them very often. In fact, the viewers of these videos are going down and down, so they're not working. So maybe I'll stop them soon. But if you are watching this right to the end and would like to be in the price list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. The price list will go out this Wednesday, the 1st of April at 9 p.m. sharp, assuming Gmail doesn't bugger me up like it did last week. All right. Thank you all. Au revoir. Over and out.